So we're absolutely thrilled to welcome back Jane Catherine Severn for the special Heart Place Hospital Power Hour. Many of you may remember Jane Catherine from our inspiring in-person workshop in Auckland in August 2023, as well as the profound work that she guided during the Pause for Menopause series in 2022 and 2023. So Jane Catherine's deep wisdom and compassionate approach continue to illuminate the feminine journey with heart and clarity. Jane Catherine is the author of The World Within Woman, The Feminine Guide to Your Menstrual Cycle, A Remembering, a powerful invitation to reconnect with the cycles that shape us. Her next book, which I'm super excited about, Your Phenomenal Menopause, The Femenome Guide to Your Midlife Alchemy, is now available for pre-order, I believe, but you can let us know, Jane Catherine.
Yeah.
So at Heart Place Hospital, our power hours create sacred pauses for healing, learning and remembering, supporting the well-being of women in all phases of our lives. So join us today with Jane Catherine once again as she opens the door to a fresh understanding of menopause, menstrual cycles and the sacred rhythms of womanhood through her unique Femenome perspective.
Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Lovely to know you there. You know, it's such a pleasure to be with you today talking about my very favourite subject. There's so many things I'd love to tell you. I've been very deeply immersed in this fascinating subject for over 40 years, and I'm still learning new and amazing things about it. So I'm beginning to believe there really is no end to what it has to offer. But we only have 1 hour to spend together today, so I want to make it as useful for you as it can be. So I'm going to lay down just a few foundation stones that'll help you find the new view we've promised you. But I can imagine some of you might have signed up with specific questions in mind or things you want me to cover if I can. So if anyone does have a burning question or a specific need already sitting there, could you let us know now? So I want to tailor this a bit to what you all actually need. Is there anything specific? Anyone raising their hand, Jackie? I can't see the people.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute mine. I've got one.
You've got one.
My motivation, Jane Catherine, as you know, but for everybody listening, was I feel like there's a real heavy emphasis with menopause on the medicalising it and pathologizing it. So my invitation to bring you into was really help us bring it back to the inner truth of this very sacred, very powerful transition. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That's my very favourite thing to do. And I'm hoping that by offering a view of what menopause was trying to do on its own terms, it might help us have more faith in it so that we don't automatically get pulled into the medical view.
I think Stephanie's got a question too.
Okay.
Have you got your hand raised, Stephanie?
Sorry about that. Sorry, my mic was off.
Oh.
Yes, the question I have, I'm sure you'll cover it, is that I met somebody who went down the natural path of, you know, not taking synthetic hormones, and she really regretted it. And so I really want to go down the natural path, but I'm also a bit scared because of this friend really regretting doing that. Yeah.
Do you know what her regret was?
2 things. One was she had quite severe sort of mental challenges over that time, and it really adversely affected her relationship.
Yes.
But she battled through, and she also became very, you know, like she aged considerably over a short period of time. Her skin got really bad. So those were the two main reasons, I think. I mean, it was literally like I just bumped into her. I hadn't seen her for years, and she told me this story, but it was kind of like with a lot of like she'd been through a lot of trauma with it, I think.
Yeah, okay. So I feel for her, and I'm so sad she had that experience. And the view I'm presenting doesn't say don't have any support. It says support yourself in all the ways you possibly can, but if possible, aligned with what your hormones are trying to do rather than opposing what they're trying to do. Menopause comes differently for each of us, and we each have different experiences. So the more we understand why these things are happening, the less scary they are. And the less scary they are, the less tension we have and worry we have, because all of those things contribute to the state of our nervous system. So we only have a very short introductory presentation today. And if you have further questions, you're of course most welcome to contact me through my website. I don't want you to go away with unanswered questions or worries and feel that you can't get any more information. So I hope that helps, and I hope that what we're going to look at today will also help Stephanie. But don't be alone with your concerns. Do turn to support in whatever way feels right to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So any more, Jackie, or shall we plunge in?
I think we'll plunge in.
Good.
Are you ready for me to share your?
Yep, just as I ask for them. So yes, put slide one up.
Okay.
Here.
Oh. Don't know why my hang on, I'm trying to.
Technology.
I know, right? You and I.
Yeah.
Here we go. Come on. Oh, my mouse is blown up.
While you look for it, I'll carry on. So the slide says, what have we inherited? And the heading is cultural resistance, internalized as personal resistance. Now, have you ever wondered why the hormones that are supposed to just switch on and then switch off our capacity to have babies create such emotional ups and downs, energy fluctuations, physical discomforts, heightened sensitivities, drastic shifts in perception, and all manner of baffling behaviours? Does that seem mysterious to you? It sure does to me. But what's even more weird, and even though we're totally used to it, is that science doesn't really seem to ask that question, the why question, let alone get a helpful answer to it. So how can it be that in spite of half the world's population experiencing menstrual cycles and menopause, in spite of all our efforts to manipulate and override what our hormones are doing, science doesn't seem all that interested in why our hormones are doing that in the first place? So it's sad to know, but important to know, that for the last 5,000 years, women have been told in all sorts of ways, political, religious, social, and medical, that our menstrual cycles and menopause make us sick or insane, evil, dysfunctional, generally unfit for inclusion in polite society, or positions of responsibility or influence in the way the world is run. So we might think we have equality these days, but if you take a closer look, it soon becomes clear that we're granted inclusion and validity and respect and credibility and participation in roles and responsibilities on the condition and to the extent that we can maintain the outward appearance and performance and productivity of persons who don't have menstrual cycles or menopause. And if we can't meet this standard, if our female reality does intrude into our functioning in any way, we're expected to get ourselves remediated so that we fit into a system whose only acknowledgement of and provision for our feminine processes, our medications and technologies to take them away and to save us from having to experience them and to make sure they're not getting in the way of real life. Now, that's not support. That is not the support we deserve. And menopause does need support, and menstrual cycles do need support. We don't have it. Living in these conditions, we actually have no choice but to comply with the unspoken rules and to find ways to override, deny, and suppress our inner feminine reality, and to present ourselves as if our menstrual cycle or menopause isn't happening. So let's take a moment to contemplate what that actually asks of us. So imagine it's Monday morning and your alarm clock's beeping at you that it's time to get up and get going into your busy week. You're just starting to bleed, or you're exhausted from a night of hot flushes or sweats. But hey, the clock's beeping, so you've got to go. What do you have to do on the inside, in your body, in your mind, in your emotions and energy, to cope with this demand that makes no allowance for where you might be in your cycle or what your menopause is doing to you? Now, there's going to be many different answers to this, to how we cope. But with all of them, the thing we most naturally do out of sheer necessity, when we're asked to go against our inner reality, is that we brace ourselves in some way, mentally or physically or both. The language we use for this says it all. Pull yourself together, get a grip, harden up, get over it, get on with it, tough it out, put up with it. We've got an endless repertoire of ways in which we routinely tense or tighten our muscles in order to override how we feel and get on with what's expected of us. Now, no matter how normal and unnoticed this is for us, it happens and it matters. We women, we're habitual stoics. We've had to be. Society doesn't need to make any overt rules to make sure women's hormonal events remain out of sight and out of mind. Why not? Because we have internalized the culture's resistance that we live in. And we obediently and even unconsciously impose the rules on ourselves. But actually, all this soldiering on comes at quite a cost to us. Just tense your muscles a little bit and notice what that does to your breathing if you tighten up. Yeah, your breathing will become faster and shallower if your muscles are tense. Now, this matters so much. Why? Because alterations in body tension and breath trigger our stress hormones, which are adrenaline and cortisol. And with those activated and trying to help us deal with the trouble they sense we're in, the delicate and super sensitive balance of our whole hormonal system shifts and it can't maintain its optimal function. So hormones get the blame for things that absolutely are not their fault. There's a point that's very important to understand. Slide 2, please, Jackie. It's resistance that distresses our hormones. It's not hormones that make menstrual cycles and menopause distressing. It's the resistance that unbalances our hormones. They don't just go all out of whack all by themselves. So the required resistance or override that we're asked to live in is a chronic stress that's harmful to women in more ways than ever get acknowledged. We pay a high and scandalously unrecognized price for having to go through such major internal experiences with no support. Slide 3. And the cost of this required resistance is the constant interruption of the natural flow, the design impetus of our female energy. We have to divert or reinvest that energy into a system that operates completely differently. So let's think about this for a moment. Women have not been living to their design specifications or true potential for a very long time. We've so long been asked to disengage from what our hormones are naturally trying to instigate in us and to live on the outside of those processes instead of going along with them, that we've never really known how we were originally designed to work. So if you agree that it's time we did know, the next question to ask is, well, what are these hormones and why do they behave as they do? Now, female hormones have had such a bad rap for such a long time that we don't really notice how little we actually know about them. Science has been very good at figuring out the mechanisms by which our bodies work. But what activates those mechanisms? What animates us as human beings? If we don't pay attention to these questions, we risk missing important clues to what we're made of and what we're part of. Hormones are catalysts. They're instigators of processes in the body. So just like with DNA, we could perhaps see them as carriers and activators of our innate design intelligence. Slide 4. If you look at the location in the body of the organs that govern our female reproductive hormones, so that's pituitary, hypothalamus, and the pineal gland, you can see that they're all here. So they're all in the third eye chakra, as some of the major knowledge bodies of the world know it, the third eye chakra here, the seat of the soul. Excuse me. This is the realm of intuition, okay? It's known as the window into consciousness and the portal between our physical life and our spiritual life. Now, this anatomy, surely, is a big fat clue we should take notice of. So I'm putting it to you today that our female hormones are not the unruly larrikins we've been persuaded to think they are, that they're not an inherently faulty part of us that's bound to cause trouble, but they're actually agents or executive officers of the soul or the psyche. And they're programmed in a very particular way to carry out its blueprint for our personal, lifelong development of self. So this is a view that goes way beyond just the fertility view of these hormones. They've actually got a whole other realm of purpose, which is to bring us to the optimal development of self. Slide 5. So I believe our hormones are actually a highly attuned internal guidance system, operating beyond the limits of rationality and mediating with more sophistication than science has yet discovered between our spiritual emotional, mental, and physical spheres of life to catalyze and optimize a life of femaleness. And because of that, they're necessarily counterculture in our patriarchal cultures. Don't fit. They're necessarily non-compliant with the accustomed masculine norms and notions. So this is where we get into trouble and start believing and are persuaded to believe that our hormones get it all wrong. Our hormones need fixing up so we can be normal again. Wait a minute. Our hormones are designed to equip us for a life that's significantly different than the one we're expected to be living. This sets up, as you can see, quite a tension. And it's this where we need to understand what can support us. Okay, so we're just going to look quickly at, through this lens, what our hormones are up to when they bring us the weird and normality disrupting things that they do bring us to contend with. Slide 6. So here's the model that I've designed. There's a unique and particular energy wave. You can see it there, the S-curve. It's running through the life of every woman. And we need to recognize and understand this because it's actually a most sophisticated, elegant, and eloquent holographic design that we all carry. But in spite of that, it's so invisible, so unvalued, so unrecognized, so far out of consciousness. We don't even have a name that we can call it by. So I've named it so that we can talk about ourselves in a different way. I've named it the Femenome. And just as science gave us the word genome, that you probably know of, to name the whole map of a species' genes, the genome. So I've created the name Femenome so that we can recognize, understand differently the exquisite energetic circuitry we have inside us. So I'm showing this picture to you in its very simplest form so that you can see menopause in this context. Now, so you can see the energy wave in the drawing, and this is the design our hormones work to. It carries a huge amount of information and energy and applications and holographic resonance and matches all sorts of other cosmologies and the design of life in nature. It matches everything. Well, we can't go there today, but just to put a very big thing into a very tiny nutshell, the feminine life design has got 4 parts, and I call them the 4 M's. So just following on the slide there, first we have Menarche, the little bud, when we're being initiated into womanhood. So this is around the few years around the time of our first period. We're just a little bud of the woman that we're going to be. And then the menarche ushers us into this very long period of our life where there's probably about half our life. Actually, it's an apprenticeship where we go round and round and round and round the monthly menstrual cycle, which is full of a whole lot more than just our periods and our fertility. So our famous changeability takes us repeatedly through the 4 foundational ingredients, if you like, the 4 aspects of the feminine nature. And we go round and round them so that we experience them and develop them and hone them all separately, one by one. So there's a lot of learning in each one about how to be a complete female self. And the menstrual cycle very kindly allows us to just learn them and develop them one by one in sequence and repeatedly until we really become adept in those 4 parts of our nature. Because in menopause, we're all about menopause today, so we'll skip over to that part. Once we've learned all we can about each of our 4 parts separately, as you can see in the diagram, this is where we graduate into menopause down that curve, and now we're asked to bring all these 4 energies together into a single sense of self. So just like 4 big currents in a river coming together, you're going to get some turbulence and some pressure waves. It's a big ask. It's a bit like your kitchen whiz machine or your washing machine when it spins things around to blend up the 4 ingredients into one. There's also a centrifugal force that pushes everything in the kitchen was out to the edge. So menopause has an expansive effect energetically, pushes us right up against the limits that used to contain us because we're becoming a bigger, fuller version of ourselves in all sorts of ways. So it can feel pretty intense, because we're on our way to the 4th and final stage of womanhood, the mature life or the cronehood, where the bud we were at Manaki, it's now got all its petals open and we're available for the most expansive life stage of all. That's where I am, and I absolutely recommend cronehood. It's a wonderful place to be. Okay, so you'll be noticing with this model that our hormones, as I said, they're not just about fertility. They're not just about birthing other people's lives, but they're even more about birthing our own stage by stage. So the hormones that instigate all of these things and keep the process moving along, they're designed to bring consciousness, to bring us to awareness of what's actually happening, what our feminine energies are doing, so that we get to be all of who we are, not just adapted to cultural norms, but beyond that, a fully developed feminine self. So it's really an ingenious design, but we can only have a tiny glimpse of it today. So slide 7, we're up to. So within each of the 4 M's, our hormones are bringing us some pretty intense experiences, as we know. And some of the famous ones for menopause are hot flushes, memory and mental failures, sleep disturbance, full-on emotions, lots of things. And as you were mentioning, Stephanie, relationships are often challenged at this time of life, not because the woman's gone crazy, although she might feel that way and everyone else might want to see it that way, but because such an intense growth and expansion is happening in her that if the relationship can't trust it or keep up with it, it's going to be severely stressed. And it just breaks my heart that this is not recognised and not supported in our culture, because it deserves support so that the fallout isn't so tough for everyone. But so these things that happen, these weird things that happen, the hot flushes, sleep disturbance, so on, that list that we all are taught to dread, they're the phenomena of the Femenome. And so I call them phenomena, spelt with an F. We need a particular and unique name to be able to talk about these specific phenomena of the feminine so that we can get to know them on their own terms and find out what they're up to. You may well be wondering, how on earth could such bizarre and uncomfortable and disabling interruptions possibly be things that bring consciousness or any benefit at all into our lives? And as it happens, that's exactly the right question to be asking. How on earth do they do that? Slide 8, please, Jackie. So believe it or not, the phenomena of the feminine, all those things that seem to make our life go wrong, they're her tools. They're the teaching aids or energetic prompts or wake-up calls by which the feminine and her hormones shapes and forms us. Hard to believe, I know, but we're going to just have a few quick examples so you can start to understand how that actually does make sense. So I'm going to just pause here and come back to you to see if there's any questions popping up at this point before we go any further.
I think I just wanted to really reiterate, Jane Catherine, the point you're making as I journeyed through. Just a couple of things I wanted to share. One, I thought, because I knew nothing, I thought I was going down in life forever.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I started working with you and understood that there is a down period, but then there's a rise again, which was just really reassuring.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's good to know that it's not forever.
Yeah, that's right. And I think I realised that also happened to me in motherhood. I remember sitting there breastfeeding thinking, is this it? And of course it wasn't. So it was just a really good reminder. So that I just wanted to reiterate that. And then I just really wanted to reiterate what you're just saying about those phenomena. I love that. I love that. I love using the word expression rather than symptom. And you're probably going to go into it, but like one of mine was hot flushes.
Yeah, I see you've already snuck ahead in the slides.
Yeah, and I just wanted to share, like I thought that was it, because that's all society was telling me. It's it's a symptom, just suck it up.
Yeah.
And when I actually looked into it, I actually realised that I was riddled in cortisol.
Yes, yes.
And so my hot flushes were giving me this message.
Yeah.
And so I worked on specifically on the area, no hot flushes.
You could just take the slides back one, please, because we've gone ahead of where we're up to. Is
that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So so what Jackie's saying can illustrate how the things our hormones do are they're actually allies. They feel like an enemy. Comes along, disrupts our life with all these things, but they're actually invitations to understand what's happening, what's needed, what's available in ways that we wouldn't otherwise access because they're not understood in the culture we live in. So thank you for that. Anyone got a question at this point? Anyone else? No. Okay, well, I'll carry on because we've got I want to start with hot flushes, as you've already seen, as one example of how the phenomena actually work for us. And then after that, I can go into other of the phenomena, and I'd like to be guided by which ones you want me to cover. So let's just begin with hot flushes because it's a fairly straightforward one. Again, how to have a different view of them than the one we've already been taught to have. So these are a pretty famous and universally disliked phenomenon of menopause. When I run my courses, sadly, I've almost never met a woman on my courses who has been looking forward to menopause. Almost universally in our world, women approach menopause or feel it out on the horizon with dread and worry and fear. And of course, because we're taught that it's something to be scared of, we approach it already in a state of a little bit adrenalized, a little bit tense. So our hormones have even less of an opportunity to do what they wanted to do inside us because we're already in resistance. I want to also say resistance is not our fault. It's something we've drunk with our mother's milk for hundreds of generations, something we've been taught to do. And my mission in this world is to help us be less resistant so our hormones can work more according to their design. Okay, so Jackie, would you like to just very succinctly give us a description with no resistance, no judgment, just the sensation of a hot flush as you know it? Right, so thank you, very eloquent. So a lot of heat. I remember being a slightly arrogant young woman and thinking, oh, what are they on about? It's just a bit of heat. But as Jackie just demonstrated, it's not just a bit of heat. Could you take the slide back again? We're two ahead now. They keep sneaking. Maybe they're on a timer or something. Yeah, back one more. Yeah. So a lot of heat, and as Jackie demonstrated, a heat that rises up and outwards. Is that right? Does there anybody else want to add anything? Any of you women who've experienced hot flushes got anything to add? No? Well, I had them pretty intensely, and I would describe them as unlike other ways of being hot. Like it's not just like summer, a hot day, you want to take your jersey off. It's a heat that's inside us. And so you can't not notice it. You can't not feel it. It absolutely grabs your attention and makes its presence felt in such intense ways. So as you listen to us talking about hot flushes and the experience, what would you say their purpose might be? Anyone getting a kind of a feeling about what hot flushes might be here for?
I'm also kind of, they sort of reminded me of when I would feel embarrassment.
Yes.
That, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So they definitely got my attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vulnerable, eh? Like embarrassment, it's a vulnerable feeling.
Yeah.
So just the very act of allowing the sensation of a hot flush without resistance. So because of our conditioning, we're likely to go, oh my God, here's a hot flush. This is going to be horrible. What am I going to do? What if somebody sees it? And immediately we're full of resistance and distress and wishing it wasn't there and trying to get rid of it. But if we can, instead of that, bring a curiosity like, wow, with no resistance in it, if we can have a little bit of trust, like, oh, what if my hormones have a reason for bringing this very disruptive experience to me? If we can stay soft in our body and not tighten up, we'll begin to feel the very question we most need to be asking, which is, what is this coursing through me that I didn't used to feel as a younger woman? What is it? It's a design feature, as Jackie said, of hot flushes that you can't ignore them. They are wonderfully rude interruptions. They quite literally get in our face. They disrupt what we're doing. They claim our attention, and they make their presence felt in every possible way they can. Because making their presence felt is what they're all about. Hot flushes are specifically designed to make us inescapably aware that something is afoot inside us. Something that if we weren't, if it wasn't like demanded that we take notice of it, we would be trying to override it and get through life without feeling it, because that's what we're trained to do. So something is afoot, says the hot flush. What is that something? Now, slide 9, please. Here we go. Hot flushes are an energy upgrade. From Jackie's description, we can clearly see they're made of energy. What is that energy? It's a magnitude, a bigness of specifically feminine energy. It's not just any old energy. It's feminine energy that we didn't have before. Now, for so long, in our culture of masculine medical notions, menopause has been regarded as something to try and avoid actually experiencing at all costs. So we're offered many ways of making it go away, making it out of sight and out of mind, and better yet, not even having it in our body. So it's no small thing to be willing to simply feel menopause happening inside us and put up no argument with it. Because hot flushes, as our body will easily tell us as soon as we listen, they're made of energy. And what's flushing through us, as I said, it's an energy like no other, an energy that's so long been suppressed and ridiculed that we hardly even recognize it, let alone value it ourselves. So it's an energy that the world is perilously lacking and very much in need of. Slide 10. So, no, we're one ahead. The back one. So hot flushes are energy. The big, bright, radiant, phenomenal energy of the mature feminine. This is a particular energy that masculine cultures have disallowed for a very long time. Older women has been regarded as, oh, she's past it, just put her out to pasture. So it's an energy that we haven't been taught to catch and treasure and be very curious about and allow to grow inside us. So it's an energy to cultivate and to use consciously because, oh my God, this world is not doing well without it. We're in so much trouble and we need this missing energy back in our world. So let's not waste our hot flushes. Let's learn how to have this magnitude of energy because we've had to wait for this to arrive in us. We've had to earn it through our long years of menstrual cycles with all their layers of preparation. So hot flushes are here to ensure that we experience and learn to embody that magnitude of feminine energy that our younger body wouldn't even have been able to contain. Because if hot flushes didn't ask us to feel it, we would be in danger of remaining oblivious to it, collectively as well as personally. So what if our hot flushes are also here to break us out of one of the strictest taboos of femaleness as it's so far been dictated to us? Have you ever been told you shouldn't be so full of yourself? Next slide. Hot flushes are here to make us full of ourselves, more full of more self than ever before. Because what better thing could there be to be full of? Yeah. The actual feeling of being much more full of much more self. What might there be to trust in this? Okay, so coming back again to check with you all. We have a little more time left. There might be questions, or you might want me to talk about some other specific phenomena. There's quite a range of them. Just if there are particular ones, like there's sleep disturbance, there's mental breakdowns, emotional intensity, headaches, any particular requests. There's so much to say. I want to just make sure it aligns with what you need. So Stephanie, perhaps is there any particular direction you want me to go in at this point? Or anybody else? No?
I wonder,
Okay.
Jane Catherine, if you would maybe go into the phenomena of low libido. I know that comes up a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good question. And yes, it does happen a lot for us. So let's just take a breath, keep our body soft, and bring a curiosity, not a resistance. Why would menopause alter our libido? What is libido anyway? Remembering that menopause is absolutely dedicated to promoting our maturation, our expansion, our consciousness, our becoming more and more of ourself. And I'm glad you chose this one, Jackie, because there's a number of the phenomena that very specifically feel like they're pushing us up against a wall where we can't get any further. It's just like, nah, my libido is absolutely not here anymore. And my body might even be changing sexually so that sexual intercourse becomes more difficult. Oh dear, I'm obviously dysfunctional. I better go and get some medicine to bring back my sexual function. Now, who could blame any woman for feeling that way? But just before we go running down to the chemist shop, let's really remember the purpose of our hormones and our feminome. None of what she does to us is designed to take things away from us. It's always designed to bring the next level of any of our faculties or any of the parts of life. So if for you in your menopause, your libido as it used to be has just evaporated, or your body is saying, oh no, intercourse is not easy for me anymore, what may be invited? Because as far as I know, in my 44 years of studying this subject, and as we've already just seen with the hot flushes, the feminine is here to create feminine maturation. Now, sex as we know it is kind of pretty well designed around a masculine way of making love, a masculine notion of what sexuality and lovemaking are. So if the feminine says to you, actually, nah, to any more of that, there's an invitation to say, maybe same old is something I've grown out of. What if there's more to it that the masculine-dominated culture doesn't know about sexuality? What if there's a next level intelligence of sexuality inside us that says, what's an even more developed way of making love, of connecting with another soul in the divinity of sexuality, in the divinity of coming together in intimacy? What if there's even a whole repertoire of other ways of making love and of being feminine and being masculine, or whatever blend of those may be true for you? What if there's a whole lot more to it? Because it's become very clear to me in my studies that there's in particular 3 of the phenomena that just seem to stop us in our tracks, and sexual changes is one of them. Cognitive changes is another. I can't think anymore. I can't remember anything. Can't organize an idea to save myself. So we seem to have lost our cognitive function. And sleep deprivation, where sleep just doesn't serve us the way it used to. So we have to open up to a new invitation. I'll just mention a little bit about this one. I'm not really diverting. When sleep is no longer the way that we can refresh our energy as it used to be, what's the invitation? And the magic of it is, why is the feminine asking us to be awake in the nighttime? What's the consciousness that she's inviting us into in an awake state instead of in a sleep state? It's almost as if she's asking us to do awake what we, up till now, we could only do in sleep. So again, this is all about consciousness, that other kind of consciousness that happens in the night. So I hope this is not too garbled, but making sense that in some of the things that seem to be limits hormonally are actually invitations to next level, the level we don't yet know. You look so excited.
It just lands now that I've experienced it. I'm like, yeah, it's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's why I just so passionate about getting the wise woman voice into this.
Yes.
Because, yeah, And I know, like, I've recently met some women in very, very early stages of perimenopause and listening to their language, and I'm like, no, it's going to be great. I promise, like, seriously.
Yes.
Yeah. So
there's nothing in our conditioning that would invite us to trust the changes and the disruptions that our hormones bring. I'm not trying to pretend this is easy or simple. It really needs a lot of understanding and a lot of support if it's not going to be scary and disruptive. And of course, as you saw in the design, the Femenome, it's designed to be learned over a whole lifetime. It's a little bit ridiculous that we're here with 1 hour to try and talk about such a big subject, but it's very wonderful to have this hour. So I absolutely recommend to you that if you can, to learn more of this knowledge before you get to menopause, some of you who are looking ahead to it, so that you are in a more supported place to open up to the invitations that are in there and not have a horrible, scary experience. Can you whiz down to the very last slide now, please? So just to let you know that more information, more support absolutely are available. This is not designed to be a solo voyage. It's designed to be an energetic adventure that's held communally, that's shared, that we all support each other with. It was never designed to be done in isolation. So if you're interested in more of this information, there's heaps more of it available. And you can see there I've got 2 books. The menopause book is editing it. It will be produced soon. I keep saying this, but it will be soon. So you can get hold of me through my website. You can pre-order it if you want to, or you can read the Menstrual Cycle book, which will bring you to a place of understanding where you're up to now as you start wondering about what menopause will be like. You're very welcome to get in touch for any question or request at all.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Jane Catherine. I know you're so right. An hour just really doesn't even give it. But I think true testament to our relationship, we've been journeying since 2022 and we keep, redeeming, as you call it, redeeming, resurfacing. And it's way more than a 1 hour conversation, but thankfully we've got your wisdom down, nearly down in 2 books. I will definitely be pre-ordering the new book. I will be.
Yes, I do.
Because I'm such a fan of the first one. So if anyone's listening and you don't have Jane Catherine's first book, please order that and you'll receive it and be able to read it before pre-ordering the next one. In fact, my one I've lent out and it's missing it. So thank you again. Thank you so much for being part of the Heart Place Hospital umbrella. Such importance that we understand and celebrate these transitions, and more so than ever. You mentioned that, more so than ever. We're in a world right now that we've been, for eons, millennia, we've been conditioned to rely on other people, and it's now returning to ourselves. It's returning to ourselves, but not doing it alone. We're powerful alone, but we're potent together. So we've got beautiful guides and doulas like yourself. In Heart Place Hospital, we now have over 50 service providers who all have this message of us being divine, sovereign, independent beings that need to be met in partnership agreement with each other's expertise and to walk alongside through this stuff, because it's a wonderful life. It's a wonderful world, that we get to, and when it really does land in our body, that we are very much part of nature.
Yes.
And you're absolutely right. The world absolutely needs a shit ton of women hot flushing all over it right now.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So I think we're doing a pretty good job. So thanks again. Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone who are watching this on the recording. You're very much part of the conversation, and this is like we talk about, this is planting the seeds. So thanks again, everybody.